is being written. Jury selection begins Monday for the 3 white men charged in the horrific murder of Ahmaud Arbery near Brunswick, Georgia last year. Arbery was taking a jog when these men allegedly, we watched, it's not alleged, we watched as he was hunted down and killed. All of it recorded. Now, a lot of eyes, a lot of people are going to be in the coastal town starting right now. And last night, the Glynn County Unified Command held a town hall talking about the safety measures in place ahead of the trial. Officials are expecting demonstrations. Of course, that'll happen. They've been working with Homeland Security, the Georgia Department of Emergency Management, for 6 months, we've learned, but there will not be a federal law enforcement presence. Local tells BNC, not sure officials know what they're doing.
We've had a history lately as we're in the national spotlight of our police chief, our problems we've had with Ms. Small that got shot, a couple other things that we've had happen, and they want us to just trust them after all this has already happened. Hey, trust us, we've got it covered, is basically what I heard. I didn't hear any plan.
Yeah, what's the plan? Now, the 3 accused are white men, Travis and Gregory McMichael, father and son, and neighbor William Bryan. They all face murder and false imprisonment charges in Arbery's killing. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is one of the people demanding justice for Ahmaud Arbery. He released this statement saying, in part, what is relevant is that Gregory and Travis McMichael and William Bryan wrongfully and illegally attempted to take the law into their own hands and kill a man, recording it, seemingly for no reason other than sport. We watched, we saw it, we can't unsee it. Let's turn now to our justice correspondent, Candace Kelley. Good morning to you, Candace.
Good morning.
Jury selection. Good morning. It is set to begin on Monday. It's anticipated by so many. 1,000 people were summoned as possible jurors here. That's a lot of people, particularly when you're talking about Glynn County, Georgia.
Yes, it is quite a bit of people, and they really want to make sure that they get people who don't have any affiliation or any strings tied with this case, which is going to be very difficult. As you said, about 1,000 people received questionnaires to be summoned. About 600 will show up on Monday, and it's going to be a different process as opposed to just the attorney and the judges asking in one group of people the questions. There are going to be 3 groups of people throughout the courthouse who are going to be asked questions simultaneously in order to speed the process along, looking for these 12 jurors and alternates to make this decision on these particular counts, to figure out whether or not these 3 people were, making this arrest that they say was justified, or whether this was somebody, Ahmaud Arbery, whose rights were violated and he was killed in a way that was unacceptable and with intention on the part of Gregory and Travis McMichael and William Bryan.
Yeah, the judges already, Candace, as you're aware, made some decisions, right, about what can be entered into evidence, including some conversations that the defendants had behind bars. Can you detail that?
Well, these are jailhouse conversations that specifically Gregory McMichael had with his wife and had with other people in his family. And during some of these conversations, the prosecutors are saying that he said things such as, this was a good deed that was done, and no good deed goes unpunished, things of that nature. There were questions about dead pictures of Ahmaud Arbery that were posted by Gregory McMichael's niece, and he was talking to his wife about making sure that those particular pictures were taken down off of Facebook. Now, these are conversations that the defense attorneys are saying should not be entered, that these were private conversations, perhaps between a wife and a husband, and as well as these were private conversations that they had an expectation of privacy. Well, the prosecution and the judge agreed that there was no expectation of privacy. In fact, if you are ever on a phone with someone who is in jail, there are recordings that come on intermittently that say these conversations are being recorded. So there was no expectation of privacy. So this was something that certainly defense attorneys lost out in this case, and will really speak volumes in terms of what these defendants were doing, not only on the day of the killing, but since they have been behind bars.
Yeah, speaking of recordings, Candace, we know too much about Ahmaud Arbery's final moments because, well, they recorded that.
That's right.
one of them, and turned it over to
Yes.
police. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're
Finally
betting
turned it
1,000
over,
there.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Um, they need to be especially careful. They do. The former district attorney is already indicted, playing favorites, really obstructing here and trying to make sure that nobody got charged in the killing, that it was justified before any investigation.
Yeah, and if we think back, let's go back during the time where we were all in our homes during COVID. This was a shooting that actually took place in February. It took a couple of months for this evidence to even come out. And when the district attorney, Jackie Johnson, finally got this evidence, she did nothing about it. So here are the connections. She is the former boss of one of the defendants, Gregory McMichael. And so they said in this indictment that she was playing favoritism, that she obstructed justice, that she violated her oath by making sure that these particular defendants, one that she had close connections with, was not indicted. And then eventually she herself was indicted in all of this. And so she's facing these charges. And so this is something that we also have to keep our eyes on, because those charges and that particular trial will also be forthcoming.
Huge crowds, Candace, are expected throughout the trial. Demonstrations, no federal law enforcement presence, we've learned, which perhaps that's a good thing. But when you're talking about a local jurisdiction here that has so obviously failed on many layers, leading up to Arbery's death and after, what confidence can people have?
You know, I think that there is some confidence. Let's go back and let's talk about the fact that the Justice Department on a federal level has already gotten involved to look at the patterns and practice of a number of jurisdictions across the country. We also know that the very law that protected these defendants at one point from making this arrest, it no longer exists. We know that in Georgia now there is a hate crime that is on the record that people can be charged with. That was not there before. And we do have hundreds of people who are planning bus rides to come down and support. There's a rally that's taking place this weekend. There will be people present probably all throughout this trial. I think that there's a little hope because so far we have seen some changes that have been made. I mean, we were just talking about Jackie Johnson, the DA who was indicted. Not only was she indicted for
Yeah.
this particular case, but they're looking at other cases that she oversaw. And there are many attorneys who have opposed her in cases who are saying that she made mistakes along the way. So this is a case that has a lot of branches, a lot of tentacles that are being really finely examined. And I think that if this had taken place 5 years ago, we would have been looking at a totally different situation. But now I think that a little hope is in sight because changes have already, Sharon, been made.
Yeah, Jackie Johnson is very much a trigger for so many of us. What a disgrace. A disgrace.
Yes.
Unlike you with your legal degree.
Well, thank you.
The height of mediocrity, privilege, and just a lack of integrity. Thank you, Candace.